Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Belmont Stakes Day, Saturday, June 11th, here in New York. I'm Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting. And it's a huge card on Saturday at Belmont. We're going to take a look at the 6 Grade 1 races and also the All Stakes Pick 4, which is the last 4 Grade 1. Jim, we'll start in race 3. It's the Grade 1 Acorn. We've got the Kentucky Oaks winner, Catherine Sophia, the Black-Eyed Susan winner, Go Maggie Go, the 8 Bells winner, Karina Mia. So impressive, small but impressive field here. Who did you land on?
Yeah, that's the 3 that I liked as well, and I can't get off Catherine Sophia. I liked her in the Ashland. That's the only time she lost, and then she came back in the Oaks, and there were a lot of doubters. They thought that the Ashland was her undoing with a mile and a 16th, but she stretched out to a mile and an 8th. In the Oaks, and I had no trouble. I think the mile, going back to the mile when the Acorn even helps her more. So I think Catherine Sophia is a strong choice here. I really like the way she's running. I'm looking forward to Songbird getting back in training because it's going to be another East-West matchup. Songbird is probably better right now, but Catherine Sophia is getting better all the time. Go Maggie Go is my second choice after that Black-Eyed Susan win. She didn't run that well in the Oaks, but she had a little trouble. So she got up for 4th in that race and probably could have been second with a little better trip. And then Black-Eyed Susan didn't come back very fast, but she won it so easily she could have gone faster. So Catherine Sophia is my choice on top of the 5. With Go Maggie Go, the 6, and Karina Mia, who made a wise choice and took the 8 Bells instead of trying to draw into the Oaks that day and won by 6. So those are the top 3 here. I think there's not much doubt about the top 3 being the 4, 5, 6, just whatever order you like them in. I like Catherine Sophia on top.
I'm going to take Karina Mia for the slight surprise, and the main reason is the distance at a flat mile. She's got the most speed, and I think she may ultimately prove to be at her best at 7 furlongs to a mile, or in the case of Belmont Park, anything around long sprints around 1 turn. And Catherine Sophia figures to be the heavy favorite, so I'm going to try to beat the heavy favorite with Karina Mia. Got to use Catherine Sophia, Go Maggie Go, in any horizontal wagers, I would think. The 5th race is the Grade 1 Ogden Phipps. This is a mile and a 16th for fillies and mares 4 and up. And another small but well-matched group. I'm going to take a shot on Sheer Drama in here. I get a little bit of a price because she didn't run well on Derby weekend, but she had some trouble in that race. She's training great. She's got 3 Grade 1 wins, which is more than anybody else in the field. This is a loaded field, but I think she can bounce back, and I suspect that they are confident she's going to bounce back, or they wouldn't put her in this spot. They could pick some other spots. So number 7, Sheer Drama, is the one that I like. But I think if you're doing horizontals, Forever Unbridled, Carolina, and Stop Charging Maria would be probably the next 3 I would use. But my pick's going to be Sheer Drama, number 7, to win the Ogden Phipps. Jim?
Those are my top 4 as well, but I went Carolina on top. I went back and watched the La Troyenne on Oaks Day, and at a mile and 16th, which is what they're running today, she just dominated that race. And, yes, I agree that Sheer Drama, who was the 4 to 5 favorite, did have some trouble. Don't know if she's going to beat Carolina that day. She was really ready. And I think second off the layoff for her, where Sheer Drama's already had a couple races, Carolina's got a little bit of room to improve. So I'm going to take her on top. I would use Sheer Drama, the 7, the winner of our Madison here, which was a much similar race with 5 Grade 1 winners. This one has 4 Grade 1 winners. Stop Charging Maria, who just lost to Madison and won the Breeders' Cup Distaff. And Forever Unbridled was the winner of the Grade 1 Apple Blossom for Dallas Stewart, and may get overlooked here a little bit with the other 3 stars in here. But Carolina is my choice on top, the 5 horse with the 2, 6, 7.
We'll move to the 8th race now, and this starts the All Stakes Pick 4. Grade 1, just a game on the turf at a mile for fillies and mares 4 and up, with Tepin gone overseas, as is Miss Temple City. This opens this up, and so they, not surprisingly, have a big field, and it's a well-matched group. How did you sort this one out?
Yeah, Tepin would make it a lot easier, wouldn't it? It does become a great race with her overseas. This is one of the races that you can just throw a dart at. I think you can make a case for a lot of them here. I landed on Celestin for Belmont. coming off a wire-to-wire win in the Grade 2 Honey Fox at Gulfstream. She's a mile specialist. She's 3 for 4 at the distance, and just seems to be coming into the race well. But I can also make a case just about for another 3 horses here. And I really don't think Celestine's going to be 12-1. If she's 12-1, I'm going to bet her win money. And in this field, she may be 5 or 6-1, but 12 seems to be an overlay to me. But Strike Charmer, the 1, could get a dream trip off the rail for Joelle Rosario. She doesn't have to have the lead, but she's going to save all the ground, and she likes that drop back and close. And looking at a 100 buyer last time out in the Bogey at Belmont at a mile and 16th, dropping back to a mile, I think it fits her well. Mrs. McDougall, the 7, is 2 for 2 at the distance, won the Plenty of Grace at Aqueduct on April 16th. And beat Strike Charmer that day. So I think those 3 are my top ones, but I could be talked into going a lot deeper here in the pick 4. Celestine Vermont is my top choice, though.
I'm going to go in here with My Miss Sophia. Don't have a strong opinion. It's the 5. I like the switch to Mike Smith, a really good speed rider. I thought she maybe kind of ran in her first start off the layup was a little over-eager and ran away with the jock a little bit last time. Second off a layoff. Her only try at a mile was on soft turf at Keeneland, so I don't think we've got a good read at her on her at the mile distance. I think it might be very good for her here around one turn. And Bill Mott, always dangerous on big days. So I like My Miss Sophia, hopefully for a little bit of a price in here, but I like Mrs. McDougall, the 7, Irish Rookie, the 9, Reina de Batteria, the 12, Paul Flyer for Motion, the 10, 2, Recepta. So there's 6 of them that I like. For the pick 4, I'm going to narrow it down to my top 4, which is My Miss Sophia, Mrs. McDougall, Paul Flyer, and Reina de Batteria. But My Miss Sophia for the win pick. Ninth race is the Grade 1 Met Mile, race with a ton of history. I'm going to try a horse in here that was so impressive at Keeneland, Amies Flatter, winning the Grade 3 Commonwealth. This horse ran lights out in his debut this year. Maybe bounced off that and then came back with an even better effort than the 2016 debut when he raced in the Commonwealth. Won it so easily, and I just think the horse has a look of a horse that's ready to win a Grade 1. Tough spot, but he's working well. The trainer, Josie Carroll, picks spots well to come in and pick off big races, and then the Josie Carroll ship in and win a nice one at Saratoga in the summer. So I think Amies Flatter's got a big shot to run big in here, and we'll see if that's good enough to win. Probably the next best one I like is Noble Bird, the 4, off that huge effort at Pimlico. He's run that kind of number, close to that number before. We worry a little bit about a regression off such a big effort, but I like the turn back from a longer distance to a flat mile. Stanford, I like a little bit. Anchor Down. If you go deeper, I think Marking, the 13, one that bears a little watching for McLaughlin. I know they've always been really high on this horse, coming back from Dubai now. Sloan Avenue from overseas is worth a look. But Amies Flatter is going to be the win pick for me. I'll key him in exactas with as many of those as the budget allows. And then for the pick 4, I would use Amies Flatter, Noble Bird, Stanford, and Anchor Down, the last 2 being the 2 Fletchers. How about you?
Tell you how good this race is. You didn't even mention Frosted.
Oh, I know. And I had him written down, and that's the last one I scratched out.
I've got 7 horses here. I'm going to go 7 deep in the pick 4, and Stanford is my very, very lukewarm pick on top. I think he's got the ability to get to the lead here, and that's going to be very important. It's a well-matched field, so there's going to be a lot of traffic. He won the Charlestown Classic wire-to-wire. That's a completely different racetrack there, kind of a bull ring, but he's run well both times at Belmont. Castellano knows him well. Pletcher will get him ready. I think Stanford is the choice here, but by no means a slam dunk. I like Amies Flatter, who you gave me on that day at Keeneland. I remember you give me a call and say Amies Flatter looks good here in the Commonwealth. The 8-horse Calculator, the 11, ran right behind Catalina Red in the Churchill Downs on Derby Day, and Catalina Red might be the favorite in here if he was in here. Frosted, first effort since Dubai, that's always a question mark, and it may be too short for him. He may not like the mile. He's been running longer distances, but he's got a lot of back class. Obviously, Noble Bird, the 4, I have the same issues with him that you have. He ran that huge effort at Pimlico 3 weeks ago. Not sure he'll put him back to back. He has put him back to back before, but that's a huge effort. He ran the Ellie Sheba and Stephen Foster at Churchill about 5 weeks apart and backed up a 103 with a 108. So if he backs up that 110, he's going to be tough to handle. Anchor down the 12, a 105 buyer in the Westchester, and marking, you have to put him in there from coming back from Dubai. So I got 7 deep there, but Stanford is my very lukewarm choice.
That moves us to the Grade 1 Manhattan on the turf at 1.25 miles for 4-year-olds and up. Flintshire is the horse that is going to be the big favorite in here for Chad Brown. This horse came over to Saratoga last summer and ran huge. Anything close to that would be almost impossible to beat in here. But this horse has finished second more than he's won, so I don't know that he's a lead pipe cinch. Who did you land on in the Manhattan?
That's exactly what I thought. I've got written down Flintshire is the obvious class, ran second in the Arc de Triomphe, ran second in the Breeders' Cup Turf. He has 10 seconds and 5 wins in his career. Obviously, he's run second to some great horses, including Golden Horn last year. So he is much the class of the race, but you got to look at that and say, well, maybe he just doesn't like to win. I'm going to bet with my heart rather than my head here, and I'm going to take Divisadero. I would love to see Buff Bradley have another great horse, and this horse is really coming into this race very well. Got him a Grade 1 in the Turf Classic on Derby Day. Hard-fought win over World Approval and Slumber, but he had some traffic trouble early and overcame it, and I thought it was a very impressive win. Buff's dad passed away a couple weeks ago, Fred Bradley, and they've had some great horses, Brass Hat, Groupie Doll. This would be a nice tribute to his dad, and I'm hoping that Buff can win this. I don't know if the Divisadero is good enough to beat all these horses or not, because it's a big step up. Flintshire would be my second choice, and Wake Forest. I went back and watched the Grade 1 Man of War, and that was a pretty impressive win there over a nice field at Belmont. So 1-for-1 at Belmont, 4-for-7 at the distance. This is a tough race, but the Divisadero is my sentimental choice here, the 11 horse.
I'm right there with you in terms of the top two. For a win pick, I think I would lean to Flintshire, but I think the way I would actually bet the race is there's Slumber and Wake Forest, Flintshire, all from the Chad Brown barn. He is so good on the turf that I think Divisadero has a great chance to run big, and I think you could either key him in exactas with those 3 Chad Brown trainees, or you could take Flintshire and Divisadero in an exacta key over the 10 and 11, and then the other 2 Chad Browns. So from that standpoint, that's probably how I'll bet the race. But for the win pick, I am going to pick Flintshire. And for the pick 4, I'm going to feel comfortable using just Flintshire and Divisadero. I'm going to stand with just those 2. Gets us to the 11th race on the Saturday card, and that's the Grade 1 Belmont Stakes. 3-year-old at the 1.5 mile distance. And I'm going to go against Exaggerator. Picked him in the Derby, picked him in the Preakness. So I got 1 out of 2 there. But I think the style of race that wins the Belmont is more of a grinded-out style. And Exaggerator is a horse that I think, to me, is more of a horse that has that explosive burst that we saw when he raced into contention in the Derby and the Preakness. And I don't know that type of running style is best for this race. Plus, it's his 3rd race in 5 weeks, and he may just be better than these, and that's certainly possible. But I'm going to try to beat him with Stradivari. Of course, I liked for the Preakness as a board hit, but I think Fletcher's really good in this race. I think that horse got a ton of education in the Preakness, and I think he'll bounce back and run his best race ever that he's run, which is a limited career. The question mark's 1.5 miles, but his sire's Medaglia d'Oro, and he almost won the Belmont, ran second to Sarava. So I think Stradivari has the pedigree to suggest he can handle 1.5 miles. If that's what gets him, he just comes up short because of the light race record, then I'll live with that. But I like Stradivari to win the Belmont over Exaggerator. And then Sudden Breaking News and Creator, I think, are both capable of running well. And if Exaggerator if the 3 races in 5 weeks knocks them out a little bit, then I think certainly either one of those two could win this. But my pick's going to be Stradivari to win the Belmont. How about you?
Right with you. I thought Stradivari, it was a huge question mark in the Preakness, stepping up from an allowance race to a Grade 1, but he didn't embarrass himself. He ran well on a sloppy track. I think this race sets up better for him with a lack of speed here. I think there's a chance that Gettysburg is signed on now as maybe a rabbit, so he's probably going to get the lead. But Johnny V, out of the 5-hole, can track that speed with Stradivari and look at the top of the stretch. Again, the mile and a half is a question for every horse, and they haven't run a mile and a half. They probably won't run a mile and a half again. But he's bred for distance, and I would think that the Medaglia d'Oro comes out in him, and I don't think that the mile and a half is going to be a limit for him. So he's bred for distance. He should get a clean trip from a much better post position. He was hung out in the 11 hole in the Preakness, and that didn't help him any. So I think Stradivari is a better bet than Exaggerator, the 11, who's my second choice. He's done nothing wrong. He's training well. Really no reason to go against him. But there are some question marks. The distance is a question mark. The fast track is a question mark. He's run his best races on off tracks, and it's as you stated earlier, it's beautiful up there this weekend, and I don't think he's going to get a muddy track. The other thing that Kent DeSormo's had a week where he has actually entered rehab this week, and although he's going to ride the horse and he says he can separate those issues, you got to be on top of your game to win a Triple Crown race, and I admire Kent for taking this step in his personal life, but it's hard to come back on one of the biggest days of the year when you dealt with that this week. So I'm going to take a stand against him. Wouldn't be shocked at all if he won. Creator, the 13, had no chance in the Derby after a terrible trip. He skipped the Preakness and pointed for the Belmont. He needs a hot pace up front, though, and I'm not sure he's going to get it. Cherry Wine, the 3, is the same way. He was hopelessly out of it in the Preakness. I didn't think he had a shot. He got second. Landry needs to keep him close to the pace if he can. And Destin, the 2, I put in just because a couple of good works and because of Todd Pletcher. He's rested since the Derby. If he goes back to his Tampa form, he has a shot. Stradivari is my choice. 5 on top of 11 with 3, 2, 13.
So that's how we see it for a great Saturday card. We should kind of restate our All Stakes pick 4. Do that real quick. I'm going to use 5, 7, 10, 12 in the 8th race with 8, 4, 7, 12 with 11, 10, and then with 5, 11 Stradivari and Exaggerator. If your budget allows, go one more and add sudden breaking news. Who do you like?
Yeah, my pick 4 would be in the Longines Just a Game. I'm going to take a stand with 3 horses. Celestin, the 8, Strike Charmer, the 1, and Mrs. McDougall, the 7. Going to go 7 deep with the horses that I talked about in the Met Mile. Stanford, the 7, is my top choice, but I would go 4 Noble Bird, 5 Frosted, 7 Stanford, 8 Amise Flatter, the 11 Calculator, the 12 Anchor Down, and 13 Marley, and that would be 7 deep. Going to stick with the same horses you did in the turf race, the 10 and 11 with Flintshire and Devisadero, and then 3 deep in the Belmont with the 5, 11, 13. That would be Stradivari, Exaggerator, and Creator. So that's my pick 4.
That's the way we see it for the All Stakes pick 4 and the Stakes Slating card on Saturday at Belmont Park. Best of luck with your wagers this weekend, and we'll be back next Saturday for another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.